Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang뉴스. President Yoon wrapping up his 4-day visit to Indonesia, where he attended a series of ASEAN-related summits, has landed in New Delhi, India, where he'll engage in more diplomacy at the G20 Summit. Coordinating policies for global issues including climate change and North Korea's escalating threat are likely to top his agenda. Our correspondent Oh Soo-young tells us what to expect.
President Yoon will extend his multilateral diplomacy at the G20 Summit, calling for stronger action to curb North Korea's nuclear threat and joint efforts to strengthen solidarity on common global challenges. After wrapping up his 4-day official visit to Indonesia on Friday afternoon, President Yoon landed in New Delhi, which will host a 2-day summit of world leaders. First on Yoon's schedule is a meeting with Korean expats before he attends the first G20 session on Saturday morning, where he will discuss South Korea's response to climate change and push for greater assistance for vulnerable countries to make the green transition. The leader will also discuss South Korea's growing role and contribution to tackling complex global challenges, highlighting the need for international norms on the ethical use of digital technology in particular. Also at the multilateral meeting, Yoon will continue to call on governments to fully implement United Nations sanctions on North Korea's nuclear and missile program. He will also call for global cooperation for peace in Ukraine and the building of a rules-based maritime order in the South China Sea. The top office says Seoul's growing push for freedom, peace and prosperity, shown in Yoon's multilateral diplomacy, is rooted in the spirit of Camp David joint statement, which South Korea, the US and Japan declared last month at their trilateral summit.
The force behind Korea, the US and Japan's trilateral collaboration has also inspired Seoul's responsible diplomacy, which pursues freedom, peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. Will endlessly strive to establish an international order that is rules-based and grounded on universal values.
Yoon says India is a key partner for South Korea's growing engagement in the Indo-Pacific, and that attending the G20 summit in New Delhi provides a chance to enhance Seoul's status as a responsible player in the world order and deepen cooperation with various multilateral bodies, including the G7, BRICS and MICTA. On the sidelines of the G20, Yoon will also hold a series of bilaterals with countries including Spain, Argentina and Mauritius, ramping up Seoul's economic diplomacy as well as support for South Korea's bid to host the 2030 World Expo in Busan City. In particular, Yoon's summit with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi falls on the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. The two sides are expected to discuss ways to strengthen their special strategic partnership through greater trade and cooperation in areas like space, minerals and advanced technologies. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, New Delhi.